So I've heard the criticism of turning down the rhetoric about the stuff going on. And it's like, for me, that's like, I hear you, because people will go out there and do stupid stuff like they do. And you're supposed to be accountable for everyone for them doing stupid stuff. So you don't want to say anything nasty about the FBI or whatever, because these people are willing to lose their shit over it and go out there and get hurt. My thing to that is, it's still more dangerous not to be critical of the government. No matter what you say about lone lunatics doing this, or people shooting up schools, none of it is as dangerous as what we learned in the last century. And what we learned in the last century is a government that can't be critical, and it kills its political party opposition, and it runs everybody out, and it doesn't allow for anyone to question it. It turns into breadlines, it turns into mass starvation, and it turns into genocide. To me, there is no debate. So when they say you got to be careful with your words, when you say nothing, that's dangerous. There is no perfect situation in this universe. There is no perfect thing. Every word you say has consequences. And it's the difference between a slow drip of blood and losing your life. It's losing an arm or losing a life. And so either you're going to have dangerous freedom, or you're going to have totalitarianism, but you lived in a world that you haven't known that. But if you read your history book, you look back and you learned your lessons about those countries where you can't criticize the king, you can't criticize the political party, you can't criticize institutions in the government, it leads for the end. It leads toward the end in a dark time. So, then you can come after all those people who said bad things and they whoop people up in their frenzies like Alex Jones. He's still not as dangerous as the political parties. He's still not as dangerous as MSNBC, and they just rubber stamping the government and you trusting everything they say. Still not as dangerous. Still. Read a history book. Actually, you don't have to read a history book. Look around the world where governments run like that. They get real dumb real fast because they don't answer to nobody. No accountability leads to stupid people. That includes all the way up to the government.
Commencing attack.
There's a portion of you guys who just trust everything they say because they're the experts. They've been fucking dumb for a fucking long time. This ain't too where people are offended. Regular people, not in the government. Like, who are these people who get offended that you question things? Like, I'm sorry that you think the NIH is wise and they know what they're doing, even though you can see in the paperwork they were doing gain and function research, and then and then you're mad at people for seeing it before it was out loud, before it was known or whatever, and it's like, so you just have this cognitive dissonance against knowing that or whatever, and so these people are supposed to be wise and know what's best. Meanwhile, they got us into this situation. How are they wise and know what's best, but also they got you into the mess? My concern is that human beings need to be accountable for what they do. So if a lone guy goes off and fights the FBI, bro, first off, morally, we don't know if he's wrong or right. We don't know that. Might equals right he can't beat the United States, so obviously you have to say he's wrong. We all say he's wrong. We all condemn violence. That, for sure. For sure. For sure. That's what we all have to say. But those guys live their consequences. And that's on them. When they want to decide to do stuff like that, that's on them. If they want to die, they want to throw their lives away, that's them. That's not my concern. That's not whatever. The bigger concern is, are those in charge being accountable? From before COVID to now, with their information, the MSNBCs, the CNN, the media, the news, the institutions have not been very good with information and helping the American people. They have not been. They have been rated F, piss poor. They have been very bad at protecting the American people and their interests. Very, very, very bad. Very bad. Right? And then so turn down the rhetoric on it, like, no. They at some point have to hear it. They have to hear it. And at some point, more than enough people have to say it for them to hear it. You have to get 65% of the people to say it out loud, right? And yeah, of course, some lone lunatics are going to rise up and get themselves hurt. But more people are hurt every day from people being piss scared or too dumb to say something about how shitty things are being ran, and about how these guys are so smart they can splice genes, viruses, but they don't know the fuck enough to not to fucking do it. To not do it. Oh, we don't have this, but maybe we'll go on a fishing expedition. Like, they know they're not supposed to do it. When they put together the Constitution, and they put that together, it wasn't just like willy-nilly. They knew how people would abuse power. They knew that law enforcement, and they knew that government would be like, well, I guess we can just look into this. And they're like, no, you have to know exactly what you're looking for. You're not allowed to label someone a criminal from president to regular dude on the street, and then just keep looking until you find it. Right? And that's the same thing with the IRS. It's like,
I got this.
Hey, either you know a dude's a tax cheat and you know specifically what you're looking for, or stop fishing. Stop fishing. And it's like, for these people who are like, yeah, that's accountability. It's like, no, accountability has to start at the top, then down. It doesn't go down, then up. No, I know none of you know that because you haven't like fought in a war in combat where leaders need to be more accountable than the dudes that get led. But the dude on the ground being held to a higher standard than the dude up top is a recipe for revolution, for disaster, for mutiny, and dudes will get hurt. That's the government's fault. Every time. They didn't protect their interest. They didn't protect China buyout. They didn't protect us from outside interference because they got greedy for the money. So no, I will not morally condemn a dude for attack. I'll call him stupid because he's throwing away his life for no change. He's not organizing himself to actually put a slice in this thing. He'd be better staying alive, saying his words, to throwing his life away, because obviously no one's level of desperation is enough to turn your heart because you're apathetic, or maybe you're just scared, you know?
Turns the tide in our favor.
No one's above the law, except for they break the Constitution. They break the 4th Amendment every 3 seconds in this country. And this country has the nerve to have their Chief Department of Justice guy come out and say no one's above the law. It's like, you have got to be kidding me. Like, it's an insult. It's like, I get it. You hate Donald Trump, and then half the people hate Donald Trump, and the other side loves Donald Trump. But until you get back to the base, the fundamentals, it's like, you're a Fourth Amendment violator, you're a Fourth Amendment violator, you're a Fourth Amendment violator. It's like, you don't have any morality. Your basis for good and evil can't be, I hate Donald Trump. Your basis for good and evil can't be, I hate whatever the wokes are doing. You have to have a stapled down belief system standard. One of the things is, I don't believe that the government should be search and seizing your personal and private property. I don't think they're allowed to come in and look at you. And unless you can apply that across the board, then I just think you're arguing out of emotion, out of basis. You flip-flop when you want to apply the FBI, when you don't want to apply the FBI. One week you like the FBI, next week you don't like the FBI. You know, when they're attacking Project Veritas, you like the FBI. When they're attacking Donald Trump, you like the FBI. When the FBI does something wrong, shoots the wrong person, does the wrong raid on a minority, you hate the FBI. It's like, what if we agree that the FBI needs to chill out a little bit? Maybe they need to be accountable to the Constitution, rein themselves back in, and they can exist within the framework that limits them. Now, they can stop us from being hit by terrorist attacks and from forces on the outside. Maybe even keeping China out of buying the housing market. Maybe they should stick to that. But they need to operate, when it comes to American citizens, they need to operate under the law. The law that you say they're not, that no one's above. I'm talking about the law. The law, the Constitution. They need to operate within that system. Not when it's against your guy, not when it's against the other guy, not when it's politics. That's the problem. That's the problem. You want to argue which side is fascist? They're both fascist. Argument over. They both will build the FBI on you. They'll both wield the FBI on you. Don't be a political enemy in this country. Don't choose a side because the other side's coming for you. That's what both sides are saying. Right now, those guys are in power, so they're coming for you. And when the Republicans are in power, they're going to get revenge. And we're going to go tick for tack until we have a civil war. Or you can reconcile, get back to the basics, get under the law. Not your law. Not the law you make up in the FBI, not the law that whatever department of DOJ comes or whatever Senate president writes an executive order. Not your bullshit. The Constitution. And if Congress wants to make a rule on that, go to the voting thing, something that they're accountable for. Tell me you voted for it so I can either vote your ass out or in. If you want peace, then use the fucking system. If the system wants to say you're a radical because you oppose the system, it's because you are operating out of the system government. You have to be open to that criticism. You can't just use your fucking might to crush people for when you get out of pocket. And you are out of pocket. Yeah, I don't really know what to do about the two sides who hate each other, because, like, you could take out someone's political leader. Like, let's say the government's like, okay, Donald Trump, you're going to jail, or
here comes the pain.
You can't run again. It's like, you didn't win. You pissed off 75, 80 million Americans. It's like, what do you do about them? You gonna arrest them all? Is that your plan? Because that sounds crazy. That sounds that's like fascistic. That's the thing that they're arguing, that they're trying to prevent. They think that he's gonna do that, and he's the great evil coming or whatever. And it's like, okay, so maybe the right is planning that, you know? I mean, like, what if he does get 4 years and he does attempt that? It's like, then they have the same problem. Then they have 75 to 80 pissed off million Americans that like. It's like, what's the plan? Like the. It's like you can't just take a leader out and think that the movement stops or you don't inflame a movement. It's like that's a history lesson too. Like it's like look no further than the gospel. It's like Christianity was 12 dudes. You killed their leader. Now it's a 2,000-year movement that doesn't end. It's like with 1.8 billion of them. Like it's a terrible. You're. I mean, other than like, and then you know, of course, the other thing you besmirch them by like running their name through the mud or whatever. But true believer, the true believer is so it's like that doesn't work either. Like you don't have to like the other side, but you can agree upon the rules. And the rules are the Constitution. I won't search and seed your stuff, Fourth Amendment. You won't search and seed my stuff, Fourth Amendment. I won't shut you down with censorship, First Amendment. You don't shut me down with First Amendment censorship. It's like, you people so young, they're like, oh man, people can say anything they want and it's causing violence. It's like, no, dumb people cause violence. Idiots. It doesn't matter if you silence everybody. A dude's gonna run headstrong into the FBI. It's like, that's the way.
So this is my fate.
As if the dangers of censoring the other side or one way or another isn't more dangerous too, by the way. It's like these arguments have been over for 200 years too, by the way. It's like all of a sudden everybody's a goddamn philosophical genius that want to rewrite the whole thing. It's like, no, you're dumb. No, you're dumb. You don't know. You don't know. It's dangerous to undo everything and play by different rules. And you keep freaking out because of what you're seeing out there. And it's like, stop messing with the rules. Go back to, I don't have to like you, but I'll protect your rights. Go back to playing within the boundaries or whatever. It's like, or you can go to Civil War. But it certainly isn't blamed on the rhetoric. The rhetoric is a symptom of what people believe.
Now advancing.
And they hate each other, and they want rules for me and different rules for you. You're the dirty people. I want to be able to yell at you to put a mask on or whatever.